All right, it is Wednesday night. That could only mean one thing: more episodes of League One on the Rocks. Welcome everybody to another episode. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. That is Brian opposite me here on the screen. Brian, you can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. Just finished up watching the volleyball day in Nebraska. Um,
Yep.
Pretty crazy, setting a world record of 92,000 fans to watch volleyball.
Yeah.
So, and that's a record for any women's sport, even overtaking women's Champions League final. So,
Yeah.
huge accomplishment for them. So, big shout out to them.
Love it. Yeah, I'm wearing the Pride jersey tonight. I forgot to wear it last week. That was my first opportunity to wear it on, screen here. But now I'm wearing that and I got the Husker hat to celebrate that volleyball night going on. So, yeah, it's a great night. I didn't know that so many of my friends were going to be there. I asked a bunch of people and didn't get any responses from anybody seeing if they were going to go, and then all of a sudden I started getting all these pictures in my phone, like all these text messages from their vantage point, and I'm thinking like, "Holy crap, man. I didn't know everybody was going to go."
Oh, yeah. It was a big deal. I knew there was a few guys at work today that took off work so they could go down and tailgate before. So, big
Nice.
deal. Big deal.
Yeah. And I think their music guest was Scotty Mc
Scotty McQueary,
McCreary.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
He American
he's
Idol winner. My
that's
wife
okay.
loves him. So
I don't I guess does he's like a country singer, I guess? I don't know. The only reason I know him is that like a very vague recollection that he was on American Idol. Aside
yeah.
from that, I don't know who he is.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know he was an American Idol winner. My wife, I think, went and saw him once or twice before too. So I don't know.
Cool.
Not my kind of music. American
Yeah.
Idol has never been my thing either. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mine neither. Well, that being said, uh, we have a very cool show ahead of you. Or oh my gosh, what is going on tonight, people? Anyways, we got a great show tonight. We're going to be talking about week 24 of League One. We're going to be going through a few of the matches. The fans made their voice heard. They voted on the match that they want us to talk about. So we'll be talking about that one. We still have to draw the last one. Before we do that, Brian, what are you drinking?
Excuse me. Sorry. I just have soda. I went to Runza today because the kids wanted Runza, so I have a Dr Pepper, and that's pretty much it. Um, it is what it is. I haven't bought beer yet.
Yeah,
There hasn't been a home match for a little while that I've been to, so I didn't have any leftover beer.
nothing wrong with that. So I after work, I made a mad dash to pick up some liquor on the way home, and I made what is called summer beer. I got this big, huge serving glass here.
It's got the
Um,
jug,
yeah, I got the jug and it's got the spigot. I got it sitting right next to me too.
and what everybody listening to this in podcast form does not realize is that it's a big giant jug, and Rich has drank all the way down to
All
the
the way down.
nozzle.
Yeah, to the nozzle. I mean, it's going to be that kind of show tonight,
Yeah.
people. Get ready for it.
I mean, you are
So,
in good company because Alex Ashton, League One updater, in the comment section saying, "I'm half drunk and pissed. Make this show good." Alex, of course, is a resident Richmond fan, and oof, Richmond tonight, man. Yee.
Alex, Alex, we love you, man. We are so sorry that you had to watch that match tonight. Oh man, that was a stressful one to watch. Yeah, I am so sorry.
Yeah, I was keeping tabs on it while I was watching volleyball today, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, 1-0 Richmond." And like, look down and check it again. Maybe what 15, 20 minutes later, and it's like 2-2. Where did this come from? Insane. This is League
I
One.
I promise we're not laughing at you. It's just your comment was just that was awesome. So
So
thank you, Alex.
we've all been there.
Yes, we have.
I know I've been more than half drunk and pissed after a Union Omaha match before, so I know that feeling.
Yep. The stories Brian could tell, they're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
But those are better for a tailgate.
Yeah, come to the tailgate when I can tell you while I'm in the same level of inebriation as I was the night I was upset.
So, anyways, I have this summer beer here, and it's kind of ironic because the main ingredient is vodka. Um, it's a whole, like, yeah, 750 milliliter bottle of vodka in there, and then two Coronas, and then like a little bit of lemonade, and then you throw in some lemons and limes and stuff like that, and yeah. So it looks like a hazy IPA when you're drinking it. I guess that's why it's the summer beer or whatever. But yeah,
Sure,
whatever.
we'll
It
rock
tastes
with
good.
it.
We'll rock with it. So, anyways, before we get too far into all the League One talk, there have been a ton of celebrations um, in people's personal lives, and we want to highlight those before we, start talking trash and getting drunk and all that kind of stuff. So, a couple of weeks ago, Tormenta defender Dalton Knutson and his now wife Camille got married. So congratulations to them. Obviously we have a connection with Dalton and Camille since they were in Omaha during his playing days with Union Omaha. Camille, obviously a great ambassador. She was on Who Gives a Hoot several times. So yeah, great people. We're very happy for them. Long time coming too. That wedding, man, we're happy that the wedding day finally came. And another wedding that just happened just last week actually was John and Regina. Uh, you know, John over at Who Gives a Hoot. He's one of the hosts over there. He also writes articles for Who Gives a Hoot. He and Regina finally tied the knot. We're very happy for them. Kyle over at Walkin' 90 celebrated 5 years with his wife Emma, so we're very happy for them as well. And then Peter Marlette, the GM for Union Omaha, and his wife Sarah are having their first baby. So tons and tons of celebrations going on around the league and people's personal lives. So we want to highlight that. We are very happy for you. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Congrats to everybody. Those are all amazing things and definitely worthy of a shout out.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump into we still gotta draw the stuff here. All right, so week 24, we had four teams that played twice. We had Chattanooga Red Wolves, we had Greenville Triumph, we had Northern Colorado Hailstorm, we had Tormenta FC. Talked really fast there. Forgive me. We didn't have any clubs that had a bye week. So with that said, Brian made his pick. He picked the Central Valley and Ford Madison 4-4 draw. I picked the Northern Colorado road win over North Carolina. And then the fans voted. That one just ended just a couple hours ago. They voted Union Omaha over Greenville, that 2-1 victory. Now we have the last draw of the night. So let me get to the
Him
screen
with
here.
ranting blue penguin wants to let us know that we can stop talking about tying things. Alex cannot take that anymore. And then also saying now drawing quote unquote stop tormenting the man. Uh, Alex, we didn't say it.
No.
I had to shout it out. Sorry.
Um, so Tim is on a roll tonight. He's in the comments here, but I tell you what, before the game or before the recording tonight, he was on fire there too. I won't go into details there, but man, he was on fire with some of his meme ideas and everything. All right, so we have the three matches for the other votes that were in the poll. You guys saw them in the vote. I'm putting them into the hat. Still haven't progressed past the U.S. Open Cup stage here. So we're doing this whole thing.
Yeah, but at least this time you're not doing it into a mesh hat where you can see which one you want to talk about.
This is very true. All right. So I got it above my head. I'm not looking in here, not doing anything. All right. Pulling one out. We are going to be talking about Lexington over Richmond. Boom.
Sorry, Alex.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, God. I'm so sorry.
I'm really sorry, man. I promise we didn't plan it.
All right, let's just jump in here. I'm so sorry, Alex. Well, on Wednesday night, we had 2 matches. We had Greenville over Chattanooga 2-1. Later that night, we had Tormenta and Northern Colorado going head to head. They tied 2-2. So those were the Wednesday night matches. Now we jump into the Saturday matches, and we'll start off with the first match of the evening, which is also the fans' pick, which was the Union Omaha road victory over Greenville Triumph. 77.8% of you voted for a Union Omaha win before kickoff.
Hmm. Yeah,
Big margin of confidence there.
and I think the more telling thing is only 5.6% of the votes went to Greenville Triumph, which means
Th-
16.7 went to a draw.
That surprised me. Yeah, I think that's even more surprising, like you said.
Definitely.
And let me just adjust some of the things on my screen here. All right, so this one, actually a pretty historic night for Union Omaha. They had never, okay, they haven't won in Greenville since 2020. Actually, the very first meeting between the two clubs. So for them to get this victory, another feather in the cap for Union Omaha, um, a good victory for the club. And you know, there were some missed opportunities for Greenville. They had the better XG on the evening. Um, man,
Significantly better.
yeah, yeah. And so I know the fans were frustrated. I saw the messages on social media. Um, I don't know, man. It was obviously fun for Brian and I to watch since we're Union Omaha fans, but at the same time, um, I don't know. It was if Brian, did you feel okay? Let me ask you this: did you feel like this was what kind of victory would you describe this as?
Mm. I would definitely say that this match was weird. I think weird is really the best way to describe it. A lot of the beginning part of the match, up until about the 30th minute, was, I mean, it was pretty back and forth. Both teams really wanting to play and press really high, which I suppose that's kind of what you have to do for both teams. I mean, as far as the way to describe it, just I think weird is the way to do it. I don't think there's anything too crazy about it. Just a typical Union Omaha Greenville Triumph kind of match.
Yeah, okay, so in that yes, in that regard, I completely agree with you. It was a very strange match, yes, but at the same time, it was also a very typical Greenville Union Omaha match in that it was a huge midfield battle.
Hmm.
Um, you look at the heat maps. I mean, just even watching doing the eye test, um, the ball spent a lot of time in that middle third of the field, and those both sides were battling it out
Hmm.
um, time after time, and there were some good battles going on too. I mean, you can't talk about Greenville without talking about their midfield. I mean, they're just year
Yeah.
to year, their midfield is just stacked,
Hmm.
and Union Omaha was putting up a good battle. The thing that surprised me about this match was how offensive Greenville was.
Hmm.
I wrote about it in the recap, but in the first half alone, they had 10 shots. And if you look at previous Union Omaha Greenville matches, Greenville has a total first and second half, a total of between 8 and 13 shots. So for Greenville to have 10 shots in the first half alone, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Not your typical John Harkes coached Greenville side. Obviously, they're used to getting a goal and relying on their defense. Um, but I don't think that's something. I think that's something he's starting to kind of move away from, and understanding that you in this league, you need to be able to capitalize on your big matchups and exploit those matchups for the entire match. You can't just sit back and let your defense do all of the work. Now, granted, Greenville has been very successful with that brand of soccer, but I think the game now, with the amount of talent that has come into the league, is starting to evolve a little bit more, and where the attacking for most teams now are good enough to go against these defenders and most of the time get the best of them. So
Yeah.
um, I don't know if this is an indication of where Greenville is going to be headed. I know they. I don't think I've ever seen Greenville come out in the formation that they came out with. Um, I mean, granted, on FOTMob it's like a 3-3-1, 3-3-3-1,
Yeah.
but I know they play a lot more of a fluid style. It starts off as that formation, but it's more fluid. But still, even that's I mean, essentially six midfielders on the pitch at the same time. That's
Yep.
insane, which honestly probably is the reason why there were so much play through the midfield for both sides. I mean, Omaha had five defenders or five people in the midfield, and Greenville had six people in the midfield.
Yep. And we've seen John Harkes vary his formations. I mean, we've seen that year over year. I mean, he's
Mhm.
gone with a 3-5-2, he's gone with a 4-4-2, he's gone with a 4-2-3-1. So for there to be like this weird formation thrown out there, not entirely surprised by that,
No.
but at the same time, if you're Union Omaha going into this match, you have to expect that they're going to overload the midfield
Mhm.
and they're going to keep their lines very close. That's one thing that Greenville does very, very well. They are very disciplined with their lines. They are very close together,
Mhm.
and they're very good on the counterattack too.
Yeah.
Um, but when you look even further into the stats from this one, in the first half, Union Omaha had 63% of the possession. Second half, Greenville had 70% of the possession. So I feel like, and I kind of felt this when I was watching it. I feel like once Union Omaha established the lead, especially scoring in the second half, what they scored in the second half, yeah, in the 62nd minute. So, I mean, you still have like 30 minutes left in the match. I feel like once they scored that second goal, Union Omaha sat back a whole lot more, and they were just absorbing a lot of Greenville's attacks and a lot of their possessions. Um, and so when you get to the final whistle, I mean, Greenville had a total of 18 shots. So they had 10 in the first half, 8 in the second half. They were taking shots.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that I feel like you have to do against this Union Omaha side because their defense is probably their weakest area um, overall. But I mean, just it's so tough, especially with this matchup. You really don't know what either team is going to bring because I feel like both of these teams bring out something different every single time they play, and I feel like they have to because these two teams know each other so well.
Yeah. Yeah. When you watch a Greenville and Union Omaha match, it's like you're watching a chess match. I mean, there even though we're seeing two different coaches go at each other, Harks and now Dominic Casiato, it still has that same Harks versus Mims vibe to it. How they're trying to think one step ahead of each other, and I mean it's great to see all the tactics and the game plans that they had coming into the match. Um, these if you're a soccer fan, you wanna watch Greenville and Union Omaha. Those are the ones that you're gonna circle on your calendar. I know it's a rivalry match, so you're gonna circle it anyways, but for a person who likes to watch soccer, likes to watch, tactics and all that kind of stuff, that's one that you wanna watch.
Hmm. I agree.
Let's see here. So,
Tim in the chat saying, "What did you think of the 29-second yellow on Connor Doyle and the 5-minute yellow for simulation on Joseph Brito?"
the 29-second yellow on Connor, yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't like he kicked the ball away after the call was, or there was the play was called dead or something like that. I mean, that early in the match, yes, USL is cracking down on that kind of stuff. Yeah, you know, at that point, I would probably it's it's another one of those weird cases where USL clearly has a an idea that they're trying to push. They're trying to push this agenda. They don't want any more delays in after stoppages of play. So they want automatic yellows for players that are kicking balls away, delaying the restart of play. I get it. I don't know. Like that early into the match, I can see why a ref would just talk to a player, but at the same time, if they're being coached by USL to set the standard the way that the league wants it to, then I mean you have to award the yellow.
Mhm. Yeah,
I still don't know if that's the quickest one in league history though. I don't know, but that's a damn quick yellow.
yeah, I didn't see anything saying that it was or wasn't. So I also didn't see the first yellow card. I was just getting it turned on, moving between upstairs and downstairs. My kids kicked me off my TV upstairs, so I came downstairs to watch it. By the time I got it turned on, I had missed that. But
Yeah.
um, as far as the yellow in the 5th minute for Joe Brito, I think it was well deserved. I think he dove. I mean, there was contact. I saw contact and thought it could have gone either way, but it looked like a flop to me pretty hard. So a yellow might have
Yeah.
been pushing it that early in the match, but they are also trying to crack down on it. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, if
Calling
you're
a
not actually fouled, don't go down.
Yeah, calling a yellow for embellishment, that's a really tough call to make, and not a lot of refs are willing to make that call. Um, most of the time players are going down, the ball is going over the goal line for a goal kick. So refs will just say, "All right, I'll talk to the player, continue, we'll restart with a goal kick and we'll just call it good." But to
Mhm.
to award a yellow for simulation or embellishment, man, that's a tough call to make, especially that early in the match too.
Yeah,
I mean, that early in the match, I mean, the tendency for a ref would just be to go up and talk to the player, but this guy
Mhm.
wanted to hand out yellows.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
So, we can run through the goals really quick. In the 31st minute, Omaha gets on the board first with a goal by Joe Brito with the assist from Joe Gallardo. So the two Joes hooking up on that first goal. Um, Moving on to the second goal for Union Omaha comes in the 62nd minute. So exactly 31 minutes after the first goal. Um, Steven Dos Santos off a free kick rebound that hit the crossbar. Um, just heads up play and something that a striker needs to be doing, especially the lone striker, just looking um, to jump in and steal some goals. So, um, but Greenville coming back in the 90th +1 minute to make it interesting late. Jacob Labovitz from Evan Lee scoring to put Greenville on the board. And with 7 or 8 minutes of stoppage time there was in that second half, scoring that early in stoppage when you're putting on the pressure against Union Omaha definitely made Union Omaha fans uncomfortable for the final 6 or 7 minutes of extra time or added
yeah.
time.
Did you think that this one was when you saw that goal, Greenville's goal? Did you think this one was going to end in draw?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely afraid of it. Oh man, I was so scared,
Hmm.
especially with the way that Greenville's attacking like relentlessly
Yeah. Oh,
and the
yeah.
amount of possession they had. Yeah, I was definitely on the edge of my seat. Like, oh, that
Hmm.
was a tense few minutes.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the interesting thing about this match for Greenville is it they attacked in waves. It seemed like they would at the beginning of the match they focused on trying to get the ball and putting a whole lot of pressure on Omaha, and then they'd let Omaha have possession and move up the pitch a little bit further, and then they'd bring pressure back and win balls, and it was just a very back and forth for the first half of the match, and then the second half of the match it was Greenville just cranked the intensity all the way up and really controlled the majority of the second half of that match.
Yeah, so I feel like Greenville needs to stick with this. This is not news for any Greenville fan out there. I feel like they need to stick with Aaron Walker as their central midfielder. Like, I mean, I last year it was like Don Smart, and this year like Aaron Walker and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
They are so good at finding central midfielders and installing them into their system. Um, Granted, Don Smart and Aaron Walker, they've been with the club, so they know the system. But for them to be that sort of midfield maestro, it creates such a huge vacuum for like the defense. If you look at Union Omaha's formation, just even looking at the way that they would, mesh and all that kind of stuff. Yes, Union Omaha tries to move their personnel centrally, and
Mhm.
which would provide a whole lot of pressure for Aaron Walker. But Aaron Walker is just so good at evading pressure and finding those channels to those outlets to feed his teammates, to continue pressing forward, to continue providing offensive opportunities. And those kind of players are so invaluable to a club that, I mean, you have to keep them around.
Oh, yeah.
So players like Aaron Walker, I mean, if he's feeding Coutinho, I mean, he has Gavilanes, right alongside him there in the middle of the field. They're also looking at McKinnon, Pilato. I mean, the yeah,
Mhm.
Greenville. Okay, so I have a question for you,
'Kay.
and this is going to be a common theme throughout the night with Union Omaha in second place. Northern Colorado, with a game in hand, if they win their next match, not only are they tied with Union Omaha in points, they have that tiebreaker to get them up into second place. Should Oh man, I hate to ask this question, but I'm going to anyways. Should Union Omaha look to find a different position so that they don't play Greenville in the first round?
No, I think you take whoever you get in the first round. If
Ooh, I
I
like
mean,
that confidence.
obviously, I think every team in the league is shooting for the first round bye. I mean, obviously, that's why you play the game, and then you get home field advantage for your first playoff match if you're 1 or 2, and then depending on who that is the highest seed will host the final. But I think everybody's looking to be as high on the table as possible. I don't think anybody is really ducking out on anybody. Um, Maybe not outwardly, at least. I think there's probably teams that obviously managers or coaches are going to feel that they match up better against, and that's who they're going to want to play, obviously. But in this league, I think every team is comes into the match thinking we can win this and we're going to win this.
So coming into this match that we're talking about, Union Omaha and Greenville had tied 4 straight times.
Mhm.
And so that's why I was asking you that question, because time and time again, Greenville and Union Omaha have been equals in these matches. And so they pose a huge threat to each other.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at Union Omaha's record against Ford Madison, Charlotte, oh man, there's some good matchups there. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, that's why I was asking, because I mean, Charlotte, Union Omaha has a draw and a win. Ford Madison, let's look at that one really quick. Yep, they have a let's see. Oh yeah, Ford Madison actually has a win over Union Omaha. They won in week 11.
Mhm.
So that's not a good matchup there either. But although their current run of form, I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, there's just those sort of things to consider moving forward. Um,
Well, I also think at this point, I mean, you have Forward in fifth and Greenville in sixth. I think if Union Omaha doesn't get a first round bye, they're going to be most likely playing a team that is considered their rival, no matter what, if the league table holds as it is.
yeah,
Um, so honestly, like I said, I think every team's just going for that first round bye and then home field advantage for the semis.
yeah. Tim at Ranting Blue Penguin coming. Oh, he's coming in with a good stat here. Unofficially, the previous fastest yellow I can find so far in USL League One was 31 seconds on June 1st of 2021. Madison collecting a yellow at Fort Lauderdale. Boom. Tim coming in clutch with a good stat there.
Very good. Very good.
Love it. Great work, man. All right, so I feel like we've hit on this one pretty hard. I don't let's see if we have any do we have any s- quotes here? So from Union Omaha, we have Coach Dominic Casiero. Oh my gosh. Saying great results tonight. I know this was a big one for the club. Obviously, that's a great rivalry here. John Harkes does a great job with Greenville. They're well coached, they're well organized, and it's a tough place to come. I know our fans are happy they get to keep the supporters belt for the year, and so we're happy for the fans. And I'm just super proud of the guys. Yeah,
Mhm.
really cool to see the celebration from the guys in the locker room holding up the belt too.
Yeah, I think this league is there's a whole lot of people that the trophies and stuff that go on in this league that you can really tell that the teams have embraced it and move forward. And that's not just with Omaha Greenville. That's obviously the Henny Derby and the Whiskey Derby for I forget what they actually call it, the Barrel Battle or whatever they call it down there
Barrel
on
brawl.
Knox. Barrel Brawl, even better. Little alliteration there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, down there in Knox and Lexington. So um, yeah, I think the league embraces these rivalries and will continue to.
And John Harkes hit on the stuff that we were talking about earlier tonight. After the match, he said, "We created so many chances tonight, but the final ball, the final strike on goal wasn't there." Leo and Liam get put in behind. Frankie gets in behind, but that final ball and the discipline was lacking. I love our goal, but because we talked about runs from the midfield and making runs forward, a tremendous ball over the top, and then the first touch from Evan is absolutely first class to Jacob to find the back of the net. So yeah, I mean, Harks even recognized that they were taking a ton of shots on goal. They or a ton of shots. They just weren't converting them into goals, and which resulted in their XG, but not the scoreline.
Mhm.
So yeah, good to see John Harkes getting the post match quote in there. I love the fact that clubs are putting post match quotes in their articles. Not every single one of them is doing that, but when they do, it helps us understand the coaches thinking, what they appreciated, what they wanted to work on in the coming week, and all that kind of stuff. I that's the stuff that I love to see.
Oh yeah, I always love to hear from the coaches. I
Yeah,
think it's a better way to draw people in to get a little bit more of insight and grow a little bit closer to the team. It feels like when you get to hear the head guy speak, or see it in writing at least. So
yeah,
good on him.
yep. All right, let's see if there's any. A lot of the random facts we had are stuff that we've already mentioned in the past. So, all right, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next match. We have a lot of matches to talk about tonight, so we're gonna move on to. All right, so we had. Sorry, Alex. So we had Lexington beating Richmond at home.
Hmm.
Man, this one. Okay, if you are a fan of Alex, you're gonna hate me for saying this. I'm so sorry. If you're a fan of rewatching matches, this is a fun one. This one was back and forth the whole time. I think I've watched this one twice now. Um, Richmond had some really good opportunities throughout the match. Lexington had good counterattacks throughout the match. They had nearly, I mean, their XGs were nearly identical. It was such a fun, fast, it was just such a fun match to watch. Lexington's crowd atmosphere was coming through the mic just fine. It was such a fun atmosphere. So if you're a fan of going back and watching previous matches, this one is good. Even if you're a Richmond fan, I know that it's a losing match. I know. I'm sorry, but it's still a very fun one to watch. There were some good things happening.
Mhm. Definitely. Yeah, this is a huge, huge match for if we're talking standings situation. I mean, Richmond and Lexington being 9 and 10, this could be a good stepping spot for Lexington to move up the table. Obviously, it pulls them within 1 point of Richmond in ninth place, and then not far off of One Knox and Tormenta. So, still an outside chance for Lexington to move into a playoff position. Never say never, obviously, especially in this league. You never know what's going to happen. I suppose that was a weird way to say that after saying never say never, but we're going to roll with it anyway. Yeah, just it's kind of crazy, and this is go time, and it seems like there's a couple teams in the league that are not living up to their potential, and it really feels like Richmond is one of those teams right now. Um, Takes nothing away from Lexington's win here, but I mean it's definitely something wrong defensively with Richmond.
Yeah, I'm curious about Richmond's situation. Um, Obviously, they're not generating as many goals on the other end of the field. Um, and they have such good defenders too. I mean, if you look at the individual players that they have on their back line, this is a good team.
Hmm.
And for them to be performing the way that they did, I don't know. It's a little weird. Um, Barnett and Hornsby, Ani, Fitch, these are good players. And it's really weird to see them on the wrong end of so many results. But man, it's such a puzzling thing to think about when you're looking at the Richmond season as a whole. Let me see if I can find something out here. Um, what's really weird for me for Richmond is how underperforming they are at home. Even with all the fans that they're bringing into City Stadium, I would think that they would have a much better run of results than they are having. Currently, they're 11th place in, let's see, yeah, 11th place in the league at home. Only Central Valley is worse than Richmond, and that's so weird to think about because when you think of Richmond, you think of City Stadium, you think of a fortress that they have set up there. You think of all the wins that they set up there, especially last season, the good performances they've had.
Hmm.
It's so weird to think about their run of performances they've had. And to take it one step further, so here's a huge glaring stat that I found. Their XG for this match, their overall XG was the fifth highest of week 24. Their offensive XG was the fourth highest of week 24. And this is counting all so this would be 10, no, 8 matches because there were 2 Wednesday, there were 6 on Saturday. If you look at their defensive XG, it was second to last in week 24. They
Mhm.
were in the negative, which is super surprising because, like we were just saying, they have such good defenders. They have Darren Sawatsky as their head coach. I just don't understand what is happening with their defense. You have Akira Fitzgerald, who just signed another contract with their club. He's up for like so many awards for USL League One every single year. I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I mean, you really have to wonder if the the 2 yellow cards on Bardathan and the subsequent sending off really kinda messed with, Richmond, especially, with it being one of your center backs. Because if you look at stats wise for the entire match, I mean, they're split 50-50 on ball possession. It's 12-10 on shots in favor of Lexington. 1-0 big chances for Lexington over Richmond. Accurate passes both at 77%, both at 242 and 251. And I mean, even the fouls are it's 16-14. This match was so evenly matched. It just it happened at the wrong time for Richmond getting that red card because 2 minutes later, um, Diouf scores the penalty,
Yes.
and I mean that's the decider. And when you're losing control at what around the 70th minute or so was the last real time that Richmond had a whole lot of possession or being able to move forward and attack with any sort of prowess before Lexington just kind of took over that last part of the match. Again, crazy, but also all credit to Lexington because this is one of those matches where you started to see them put everything together. Their pieces all came together. Their offense was playing decently, their defense was playing decently, and it was at the same time, which we really haven't seen much this season out of Lexington, which I've kept saying over and over. If they can put an entire match together where both of them work at the same time, this is a very good team. And I think this match is just evidence of that.
I completely agree. And Richmond Kickers are a team that is, I mean, if you look at their stats, they are known for their possession. They carry their possession. I think they have the most possession across the entire league, too. The time of possession they have, so they can develop their attack and all that kind of stuff. I almost wonder if they have the ball too much because if you think of the way that their offense is designed, the way that they poach goals, obviously they take advantage of set pieces. Um, they look for, those loose balls that are loose in the box. Miliano Terzagi's there to clean up any trash that's sitting around.
Hmm.
I almost wonder if they have the ball too much. Does that e- I, does that even make sense if they have the ball too much?
Sure. I mean, I can see what you're saying and kind of where you're going with it. It feels like a lot of the time with Richmond, when they have the ball too much, as your point is, they tend to overthink and overcomplicate ball movement. I mean, there's a difference between passing the ball and looking for your windows and just passing the ball to pass the ball, which I feel like sometimes happens with Richmond when they have that much possession. So yeah, I could totally see that and go with that.
Yeah, so that's maybe like a random concern that I have for the club. Um, I will say this though. Okay, you're gonna call me a fool. I don't care. I feel like Richmond could be a surprise next season. They're sinking pretty low this season. Um, a lot of people are disappointed with their performance. Obviously, there's only one direction for them to move up. for them to move in general. I think Richmond could be gearing up for some moves up the table next season. Um, they just need to get some. I don't know. They just need to. Ooh, this drink is getting on top of me. Uh, they just need to, sort of get a few pieces into place, and I feel like they're going to be a whole lot better down the stretch. Even into next season. So I wouldn't, if you're a Richmond fan, I wouldn't necessarily, you know, yes, it's easy to panic here and now because you're looking at the table thinking, well, we're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to make the, we're not going to win the Shield. We're not going to win the Cup. But at the same time, there are also other fans who are looking toward next season already. There are
Mhm.
other fans who are saying, let's play the younger guys. Um, so I, if you're a Richmond fan, go ahead and start looking to next season, and start looking toward the positives there. I think Richmond's going to be okay next season.
Yeah, that and I mean, it's also evidenced by if you look at 2 years ago, they finished in 5th place, obviously 5th and ninth, bit of a difference, still playoffs and out of the playoffs, but, it felt like a kind of the same feeling with Richmond, where they just couldn't quite put things together late in the season in 21, and then they turned around the next year and won the regular season title. So, I mean, they kind of work in that way or have recently. So I don't think they have much to worry about. This season might be a little more difficult, but that also being said, 6th place and 9th place are only separated by 8 points. So
Yeah,
it's not unthinkable for Richmond to make a run or any of the teams below the playoff threshold to make a run right now. Um,
yeah,
so again, that never say never. And we just got to play the rest of the season out and kind of see how it goes.
yep. Team at
Richmond's a
Ranting Blue.
yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Richmond is a good team. They have the pieces there. They just need to figure out what the difference was from the beginning of the season and the end of the season here.
Yeah. Tim at Ranting Blue Penguin Media follows up with, they still have to win the Win and Spoon next year. Then they can shoot to first place and self promote back to championship. That's how that works, right? Yes, 100%. So
Hmm.
2024, they'll win the Wooden Spoon. 2025, they'll get first place. 2026, they'll be in championship.
Yeah,
Okay. So we'll put that in the we'll put that alongside the messy script.
bookmark it.
Yeah, since it's all pre-written. Okay. And then he follows it up with, serious question though. With Akira Fitzgerald signing the new contract, does he become a player coach? In my opinion, yes. I think he should already be a player coach.
Hmm.
With the experience he has, the performances he's had at that level, the amount of knowledge that he can pass on to the next keeper, even though you signed him on for an additional contract, yes, you want him to be a player coach, in my opinion. 100%.
Hmm.
Not a doubt at all.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know if that was the idea when they signed the new contract, but um, I mean, anybody on the field at any given time could be a player coach, right?
Yeah.
These guys all know the game plan. They all know exactly what they need to do on the pitch. So it's not unfeasible for people to become player coaches. Again, and I feel like maybe with the goalkeeping position, it would be a little bit easier because you see more of the field from your position. So maybe actually even have a little bit better of a sight line to be able to see that stuff. So um, it could be. We'll just have to let it play out and kind of see where we go.
Yeah. And we did have a post-match quote from Sam Stockley, head coach over at Lexington. This is courtesy of Tyler Crane over at Crane Kicks Lex. So huge credit out to Tyler. Huge supporter of him. He interviewed Sam afterwards, and Sam said it was a real sparring match. All credit to the boys to come in and get 3 points, which keeps us in the hunt. I'm very proud of the boys. Everything was about our mentality, how we come out. Historically, we when we've had some delays or breaks, it hasn't helped us. I think it helped that we didn't start, so we were able to go through our routines, come out and put that ghost to bed. The back three, the back five were excellent today to get the clean sheet. Really, the entire group was when you get this part of the season, a 1-0 win is huge, but we understand we got 8 more games to go. So obviously, Coach Stockley is focused on the road ahead of them. Um, he knows that this is a very valuable win, and very appreciative of the defensive effort. And he it's weird how we're talking about how I feel like with Lexington, we're talking about their mentality time and time again. We talk about their speed, we talk about their counterattacks. They have great leadership on their team. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that we seem to be talking about when it comes to Lexington is their mentality.
Hmm.
And I love that about Lexington. The locker room chemistry that they have, the the bond that they have, the way that they fight for each other when they're out there on the field. It seems like they're playing for something bigger than their club. I don't it's such a weird feeling, but at the same time, yeah, Lexington has something special going on, and those fans were having a great time there too.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm trying to see if I could find any Richmond quotes. Let me see if I can load those up here really quick. Um, we do not have any quotes from Darren Swatsky, so we can skip past that. We did have some news from Lexington, though. They did sign a new player. Let me get back to that website here. Do 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 do. There we go. News. They signed former FC Cincinnati Academy forward Joshua Head to the League One squad. Uh, so he is a 19-year-old who was formerly with FC Cincinnati 2 in the MLS Next Pro, and he has an assist while he was playing with the club. He's from Kentucky, so I mean, he's playing for the his home state there. And in his announcement here, it says, "It means everything." Uh, Josh, had said, "My whole life, this is what I've wanted to be, a professional soccer player, and Lexington has provided me the opportunity to be able to play the game I love at a high level, and I just can't wait to be able to express my talents and my hard work. This is a great first club to be at with great fans and support, and a great environment all around." So you have a guy who's buying into the system right away, right off the bat.
That's good. I mean, that's really what you need coming in. So gotta love it.
Yeah, very cool for them. All right, so we're skipping down the list here now. Let me get back up on the list here. And we're going right into my pick, which is North Carolina hosting Northern Colorado and losing 1-2. So Northern Colorado Hailstorm getting their first victory in several matches. And even heading into this match, the fan voting was 52, almost 53%. Pretty weird vote of confidence. Man,
Hmm.
and I can confidently say that I had Northern Colorado winning. So I finally picked an upset. All I had to do when I was looking at that at the poll that we posted on Twitter was what would Brian do?
Right. Always the underdog. Always,
Boom.
always take the underdog.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this was a one of those matches that was very back and forth. Both teams pretty evenly matched. Obviously, Noco getting out to the lead early, and then right after halftime, NCFC bringing one back. Only 12 minutes later for Northern Colorado to steal one back as well. Um, I honestly I could have seen this going this way, and if you would have told me before the match started that Noco would win 2-1, given their run of form recently, I might not have agreed with it. But thinking back on a few weeks ago, before that kind of bad run of form that they were also in the running to be one of the top teams in the league as well. They were even on top. So um, not that crazy to think about. And Northern Colorado is another one of those teams that they have to catch teams at the right time. This team needs to be able to dial itself in. And it seems like with this win, this is a very good opportunity for them to springboard into this critical kind of push of the season, um, and move forward. So that win should spark something for Northern Colorado, and it's definitely going to get interesting down the stretch. And I fully expect Northern Colorado to be challenging for that first or second spot before this end of the season.
Yeah. So it's weird to think that. So Northern Colorado snapped their, let's see, it was their 6 match winless streak. And they also snapped in the process of winning this match. They also snapped North Carolina's 10 match unbeaten streak. It's weird to think that in doing so, we're sitting here thinking like, oh crap, Northern Colorado's back. I mean, they won 1 game after 6 winless matches, and we're sitting here thinking like, "Oh crap, they're back." Um, that's the kind of threat that Northern Colorado poses.
Mhm.
This one was a good match. Like it was hard fought. It was back and forth. Um, the thing I liked about this match was it was sort of a mix of um, it had that top of the table flavor, obviously, but it was sort of a mix of uh what's been working versus what we're gonna do to make it work.
Mhm.
Excuse me, just a sec.
Yeah, I mean it definitely you, both coaches in this one knew exactly how to attack the other coach. Um, and obviously these are two of the best coaches in the league as well. So what I was actually surprised on is just how, I don't want to say poor, but how unimpressive the front two were for NCFC with Anderson and McLaughlin. I mean, those are two names that you expect bigger out of, and in this match, they just really didn't deliver, like you would have thought. Um, so, I mean, and this is something that I've said in the beginning that I didn't think NCFC's defense was going to be that great, and that they'd have a lot of attacking prowess. But in this match, I mean, NCFC's midfield, the majority of the time, outplayed Northern Colorado's midfield. But Northern Colorado's backline and attackers played much better than NCFC's attackers and backline. So, um, and I mean, huge shout out to Red Dawn. I mean, getting one of the goals and then doing that from that kind of wing back position to just uh, um, played really well and was a key cog in the Northern Colorado machine in this one. which he has to be. He's one of those players on this Northern Colorado team that is one of the more high profile players. Um, Obviously, Trevor Amon's going to get most of the eyes on him, but when you have a guy playing right back that plays the entire field and can also score, that's that's a scary combination in this league.
Yeah, and Tim in the chat coming in with the perfect quote here. They were too good of a team not to win eventually. Yes, I completely agree. You see it in the power rankings, you see it in the fan voting. People have faith in the Northern Colorado Hailstorm. Uh, to see them go through that winless streak was, I don't know, it was unprecedented the way that the team was playing for them to be losing those matches, especially with as many goals as they were scoring. The amount of shots that they were taking, it was just crazy to see them having the results that they were. So for them to finally pull one back and actually get a win, um, it's finally like it's like a long time coming for this team. I will agree that North Carolina, um, seemed far more limited than we were expecting. I mean, they had 14 total shots, but they only had one big chance. And that one big chance that they had, they missed.
Mhm,
So when you're looking at this match and you're trying to figure out what went wrong, it's almost as if North Carolina just stubbed their toe and just didn't finish the chances they had in front of them.
mhm,
Their XGs were almost identical. Their offensive Gs were pretty close. Their defensive X Gs were. I mean, North Carolina was well above I'm sorry, Northern Colorado. Um, but the eye test, which I mean, Brian, you can attest to that's the most important thing that we're doing here. We can spout off as many stats as we want to, but the eye test is the biggest importance here. Northern Colorado was just seemed to play like they wanted it more.
mhm,
And in doing so, it was almost as if they finally shook that monkey off their back and were just they got the 3 points, they got the win on the road, they beat the number one team in the league. They finally gained that confidence back. This is also weird because whenever we talk about North Carolina, I feel like we're doing so from a standpoint of, we're knocking them down and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want it to come across that way because they're the number one team in the league and they have been for several weeks in a row now. And we have a ton of respect for that club.
mhm,
Um, so when you have a team like Northern Colorado that comes in and beats them at in Cary, North Carolina, it becomes a big deal. Um, I don't know. This one was an interesting one in many different respects from what we talked about in the previous matches.
mhm. Well, and I mean, you also have to wonder too with NCFC. They were on that great unbeaten run, and you really have to wonder. I mean, everything is going to eventually come back down, and the norm is going to be back to normal, I guess, for lack of a better term. Um, and I think at this point they were far enough ahead that they didn't really have to worry about dropping a match here or there. They're still a complete team, and every team in this league has had down moments. So this could just be one of those where everything's finally kind of caught up to them, and then they just happen to run into a Northern Colorado team that needed a win, um, needed to get back to winning ways to come back to the team that they were before. So, um, I mean, it's tough in this league. It just is one of those things that that just happens. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too worried if I was an NCFC fan. Um, I think they're still in good position. They're still a good team. I still think they make the playoffs. And if you're a Northern Colorado fan, you have a few things that you can look at. You beat the top of the table team. You got that win the streak off your back. Your um, potential coach of the year candidate just signed a 3-year extension with the club, um, which uh, Rico over at Linners and Woozers pointed out in the chat earlier today as well. So um, that's huge for the club. And both of these squads have really good teams, and this is just one of those matches. Somebody's got to win. Obviously, you can draw, but I don't think either team was going to let this end in a draw, no matter what. So
Yeah.
um, it was a playoff type match with 10 games, 9 games left to go. So
Yeah.
just overall a really fun match to watch too, because it's two teams that are at a high level, playing at a high level, and two teams with very good players that kind of showcase the best of this league.
Yeah. Good to see Rico in the chat. Highlighting the Ayman Zayed contract extension. We're very happy for that too. We're still trying to bring him onto the show. We have an ongoing email thread with their front office to try to make that happen.
Yeah.
We are working very hard to make that happen. So uh, don't lose faith on us. We're working very hard to have Eamon come into the show. We're just trying to fit it into his schedule.
Yeah. Saying he's a very busy man is an understatement. So,
Yeah, especially as the playoffs approach.
yeah.
But um, when you look at uh, Northern Colorado, especially when you look at the post-match quotes, Eamon Zayed, his interview said, "For me, best win of the season so far." He said, "We got to win in a tough place to come and get a win, so it motivates the team to continue pushing forward." Exactly. On the flip side, when you look at the North Carolina post-match interview with head coach John Bradford, he said the guys continue to push, continue to fight, and create more chances. Unlucky not to get the second goal, but this is the way it goes. It'll be something we learn from and move on next Saturday back here. You know, that's the thing. That's the thing we were talking about. They had that big chance. They missed that big chance. They had the opportunity to create a draw against Northern Colorado. They didn't, and they're moving on. They're moving past it. It's not even something they're going to be dwelling about. That's the mentality that John Bradford has in his locker room. Look, guys, we had a tough loss. It is what it is. We're putting it behind us. We're moving on. We're moving forward. He's very professional in that manner, and I love the fact that Eamon Zayed is also bringing his team into the locker room and celebrating this win because they deserve to win. It's been, 6 matches of this horrendous like winless streak that they've had. For them to finally get a win, they deserve to be in the locker room celebrating and to have that confidence restored in them that they can win against a quality opponent and get the 3 points on the road in a difficult place. This was a valuable win. This was a valuable lesson for both sides. And I think that's
Mhm.
the biggest takeaway from this match.
Yeah. I I agree. This is going to set both of these teams up for this last few matches of the season, and it'll be super interesting to see moving forward. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, the weird question to ask from this match is how successful can you be despite this? So for Northern Colorado, winning against the number one team on the road for Northern Colorado or North Carolina, losing at home versus Northern Colorado, who just had that losing streak. How can you succeed from this point on? Like that's the biggest theme for both of these clubs moving forward, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into your pick is up next, isn't it? So we have the 4-4 draw between Chattanooga Red Wolves and South Georgia Tormenta. Oh my gosh, that was a ah. I hope the Tormenta fans took their heart medicine because they needed it for that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, and then we had One Knox and Charlotte drawing 1-1. Man, there were some big draws this week. Speaking of big draws, we have Brian's pick: Central Valley hosting Forward Madison, 4-4.
Hmm. Yeah. The fans voted, and 82.4% predicted a Forward Madison win, with 5.9% calling for a Central Valley Fuego win. So if you're part of that 5.9% or 82.4%, you were both wrong. If you're part of the 11.8 that said a draw, well done. This one was definitely something else. I mean, you have Jose Carrera Garcia scoring within seconds. I think it was inside of the first minute, but I think it was 40 seconds or something like that, really quick. And at that point, I was thinking to myself, what the hell is this match going to be? I mean, this is League One after dark at its finest.
Yep.
You have a goal scored in the first minute against Madison and Fuego. This is crazy. And then you didn't have to wait long for Madison to even it up. They evened it up in the fifth minute. So um, Jaden Onan getting that goal off a assist from Nazim Bartman, and 11 minutes later, Christian Cheney converts a penalty for Forward Madison, giving them the 2-1 lead. And then, not to be outdone, Villian Bijev scores to make it 2-2 in the 28th minute. Excuse me. So we've already got a crazy match, and we're not even 30 minutes into the match. And it gets even crazier because in the 45th minute, Central Valley gets another goal. And at this point, as a Forward Madison fan, I'm just thinking, what the hell is even this? Like, granted, I don't want to beat up too much on Central Valley, but they are a bottom of the table team right now. But for them to come out with the kind of fire that they did, I mean, obviously to score in within a minute is insane, especially against a usually stout defensive unit in Forward Madison. Um, Granted, they've given up a couple 4 goals here in the past few weeks, but um, other than those, usually a stout defensive team. Um, but just crazy. And I mean, you can't count the pink men out, even though in the 52nd minute there was a penalty awarded to Central Valley. I'm not going to say too much on it. If you want some ref talk, go listen to our friends over at Talk and Flock. They have quite a bit to say about this penalty call. So go up and give Rob a listen up there. So that made it 4-2 in favor of Central Valley. And at this point, watching the match, I was convinced Central Valley was going to pull this out. There's been times recently, especially, that this Central Valley team has been rather impressive. And as Tim points out in the chat, they're a bottom of the table, but not a bad team,
Yeah.
which is true. I mean, none of the teams in this league are, I would say, bad. There are teams that play better than others, but top to bottom, there's not one team in this league that cannot beat somebody else on any given day. So there's a lot of parity. But Pierre De Silva for Madison scores in the 70th minute to make it 4-3. And then, stop me if you've heard this before, but another Christian Cheney goal for Forward Madison to eventually get us to our 4-4 draw. So another match ends 4-4 draw. And I mean, watching this match, there was really one player on the field that stood out above the rest, and Christian Chaney, man. I mean, in this match, dude was all over the place, playing out of his mind from that forward position. Um, and I mean, I didn't even mention this before, but Jacob Kroll also getting a double yellow to be ushered out of the game pretty early on after halftime. So um, Madison did this down a man as well. So um, you got to give him props for not fighting, not stopping fighting, and getting back in. Um, and you've got to feel like if you're a forward Madison fan, you have to feel really good about coming back and getting a draw. I mean, I know getting a draw is not something that when you're pushing for these playoff positions and these higher playoff positions you really want, but this one's got to feel like a win, especially going down a man so early and being down 2 goals at that point. Um, and on the flip side, I don't even think you can think bad if you're a Central Valley Fuego fan. I mean, you took a playoff contending team and you drew them. You could have won. Um, some would even say probably should have won. But I mean, it you can't call this anything other than a if you believe in them moral victories for both of these squads.
Yeah, if you look at Central Valley Fuego, the last time, oh my gosh, we're going way back here. If you go back to the last time they lost by more than one goal, or one more than one goal decided the game, we're looking at May 27th when they lost to Northern Colorado Hailstorm 4-1 um, in Windsor, Colorado.
Hmm.
So you're going like almost 3.5 months of matches decided by one goal or less if you're drawing. This is a team, like Tim said, they're bottom of the table, but not a bad team. And
Hmm.
man, we've said that so many times this season. It's just they're constantly finding themselves on the bad end of these results. This is a team that is pushing every single team to the brink. They had Ford Madison right where they wanted them. They had the man up. They had the goals up. Um, in the 52nd minute when they scored their fourth goal, they were up 4-2. So they just had to last that little over half an hour left in the match. But it's just those frustrating finishes heading down the stretch for that club. Central
Hmm.
Valley is a team that is seems to be an enigma because they perform well, but they don't get the results that portray them performing well.
Hmm.
It's weird. And this kind of bridges into their recent news of um, their sporting director stepping down from head coaching position and focusing on his role as the sporting director, and the assistant coach stepping up into the head coach position. There's a lot of instability in that club. For them to constantly get these kind of results against good quality clubs, I mean, speaks to the potential that this club has.
Hmm.
I don't want to see this club go away, and I want them to grow and to get better. Um, I'm just afraid of I don't want to say this the incorrect way. Um, I'm just afraid of the reverse happening. I don't want this club to go away because of the potential they have.
Yeah, and I mean, this match in particular shows their potential. If you look at the teams as a whole, mm, we'll take out North, the goalkeeper for Central Valley Fuego. If you take him out of the equation in this match, the entire team outplayed the entirety of the Forward Madison team. Man for man, Central Valley played a better match than Forward Madison did. Forward Madison was just more clinical and more able to finish the chances that they had.
Yeah, and their recent signing, oh man, I hope I'm not butchering this name. Kudus Lawal in his this is his second match with the club, I think, and
Mhm.
he's scoring a goal. I mean, he's having an immediate impact with this team. It's crazy. And Tim coming in here saying Central Valley Fuego has lost 7 matches by the scoreline of 1-0 this year. One of every matches this year.
Every 3 matches, yep.
Every 3. Okay.
So one of every three, Fuego is losing 1-0.
And that's crazy. This continues to show the theme that we're constantly like it's variations on a common theme with
Mhm.
Central Valley Fuego that they are a good team, they're just not getting the results that portray them as a good team.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. Honestly, half the reason I have Central Valley Fuego in my personal power rankings over Chattanooga is I feel like they have the potential with the talent on their team to be a playoff team.
Mhm.
They are just not, for whatever reason, they are not clinical enough with their passing and their finishing to be able to do that. The defending's there. In this league, if you can keep these teams to one goal, it's going to be very, very difficult to lose that match. But somehow this year, Central Valley has found a way to lose one score matches on a consistent basis.
Yeah. The only reason that I had Chattanooga above Central Valley in the power rankings was because uh first off, Chattanooga had to play their first match on the road against Greenville. So that's a tough matchup as it is. And Chattanooga, not exactly known for scoring on the road, but they did so nonetheless against, like I said, a quality Greenville team. And they followed it up with a performance against Tormenta with that 4-4 draw. Man, that was, oh gosh, that was
Hmm.
a cardiac match if I've ever seen one.
Definitely. So I kind of want to talk about Forward Madison and just some of the issues that they seem to have. This is going on the third season in a row where they are starting to drop form at the end of the season.
Mhm.
I don't understand how this team can look so good at the beginning and middle parts of a season in multiple years and have such a drop off in the last part of the season. It's like they play 2/3 of the year really well, and that final third, they don't play as well, and they end up getting bit in the ass for doing it.
So I'm going to come at that from the line of positive thinking toward the league in general. I think that with 2/3 of the league behind us and a third of the league to go, I think by that time teams have figured each other out.
Mhm,
For those last 10 matches, I guess, yeah, around that time point, teams already know how to approach each club, what adjustments they need to make, and for the clubs heading down the stretch, oh man, for the teams heading down the stretch that need to make the adjustments necessary, they're going to make those adjustments. You have the quality managers in place to make those tactical changes to move the pieces in the correct positions to find those results. I'm not This is in no way saying that Glazer is a bad coach. What I am saying is that the teams around the league and the adjustments that are made, um, when you face them in the moment and the adjustments you have to make on the fly to accommodate for those can be pretty tough.
Mhm.
And for players, coaches in the moment across the entire league, it can be a very tough thing to do. And for the last third of the season, it's all about who can make those adjustments the best on the fly. You have enough footage of every single club across the entire league. You know what to expect when you line up at the time of the opening whistle. And from that point on, when you're moving pieces around, you're making formation changes, you're making tactical changes, it's all about the changes in the moment. And this is just one of those times when I think Central Valley was able to get the better of Ford Madison.
Yep. Yep. That is fair. It'll definitely be interesting. I feel like Madison is a little bit on a drop, but can plateau out and come back up. They have the talent, they have the coaching that they should be able to do that um, with the rest of the season. I'm a little bit more intrigued with Central Valley because we'll get into it here in a minute too. With the result that happened today, I mean that this team is figuring some things out, um, and I think it's just a matter of a, a front office and a coaching staff that is together and united towards the same goal and has some consistency behind it. And I think this could be, even with the lineup they have right now, could be a very, very good team in the future.
Yeah, and to speak to your point, after the match, Matt Glazer, head coach of Ford Madison, did say, "I'm really proud of the way that we fought back against the odds and finished with a big point on the road." Christian Cheney did say, "We're going to fight until the end and go until we have nothing left to give because that's the character of the team." It was a blessing for me not only to help the team tonight, but to do so in front of my family and hometown. I don't know if you saw the broadcast, but Christian Cheney had a huge amount of people there rooting for him. It was
Hmm.
crazy to see the group that were behind the net rooting for him, and after his goal scored, celebrating with them, having that kind of vocal presence in the stadium, despite the fact that I'm assuming all of them live in Fresno too. Um, that can be a pretty jarring experience, but also a huge motivator for Christian Cheney scoring that goal.
Well, obviously it was. I mean, he was the best player on the pitch and scored twice. So obviously this match is always going to carry a little bit more of importance for Christian Cheney, being from that area, playing for Fuego, and his family being there still, obviously. So um, it's always going to have more significance for him. So I think it's great to see that he got a chance to have his friends and family out there to watch him play a match like this.
Yep. And like we've already mentioned, out of Central Valley Fuego, we've already announced their technical staff updates. We also have some big news coming out of Central Valley. Jesse Williams was selected to the Trinidad and Tobago's provisional squad, as well as Alexis Cerritos, called to El Salvador's national team. This is ahead of the upcoming. Um, let's see. This is for the training camp. They're going to be playing. Let's see. What are they? Do they were called up to international duty, so it's good to see that these international players are getting their recognition due. Um, so we're very happy to see those players from Central Valley Fuego getting called up to international duty. It's good to see that kind of recognition being found across the league. We've seen that from other clubs, especially with Charlotte. I think we've seen that with North Carolina. So it's good to see that happening across the league.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. We've talked about it before, and that only brings more credibility um, and more eyes to the league. So, congrats to those guys for making that call up as well.
Mhm. All right, so that concludes all the matches we're going to be talking about this week. When we look ahead for week 25, we have 4 match days. Not just the 2 that we're, typically acquainted with on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but this week we have a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday match days.
Yeah, gotta love that Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. So tonight we had Richmond versus Central Valley, ended up with a 3-3 draw. And Friday we have 2 matches. We have Lexington hosting Greenville. Oh god, that's going to be a good one.
Hmm. Yeah, you got
Greenville's defense midfield against Lexington's speed and perseverance.
Lexington looking like a team with a new purpose, and Greenville fighting to stay in that the playoff position. With South Georgia kind of sneaking up a little bit on them here, one knocks as well. So
Yeah.
both of those teams only 4 points out. Greenville still has a game in hand on them, but it's definitely could have a little bit of playoff implications here in it.
And then on Friday, we also have Tormenta hosting One Knox. That's another huge one. Tormenta, huge goal scorers in their recent run of matches. I mean, they've been scoring a ton of matches late or scored a ton of goals in their matches lately
Mhm.
against the stout One Knox defense. One Knox defense is, I would say, the best in the league.
I mean,
Um,
it's very good. I don't know that I would go as far to say best in the league, but they're definitely one of the best in the league for sure. I would go with one of.
so this past week, um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I don't know that I would put them in the top of the league for defense, but man, they are a stout defense.
Mhm. Yeah, and this again, this match also has those implications. Both of these two teams are fighting on the same amount of points, same amount of games played, trying to fight and get into that, the playoff positions. They're both 4 points out, um, both with one more game played than Greenville Triumph. So um, it'll be interesting. It'll Whoever wins this match will set themselves up nicely to make a little run at playoff position. So that'll be definitely one to watch as well.
Yep. And then Saturday we have some good matches. North Carolina hosting Central Valley Fuego,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then Chattanooga hosting Ford Madison. That's going to be a good one.
So with these two matches, obviously you have top of the table NCFC versus bottom of the table Central Valley Fuego, but you have a Fuego team that seems to be revitalized right now. And you have an NCFC team coming off of that loss. So maybe a little bit of a hangover for NCFC. So I'm going to go ahead and look really quickly. So after Central Valley Fuego, NCFC comes to Omaha to play Union Omaha on a
Ooh,
Wednesday night match on September 6th. So I don't know that you can really call anything a trap match in this league, but I think this would be the closest thing to it. You have a top of the table team playing a bottom of the table team with the number two team on deck for NCFC. So, um, and Central Valley Fuego, with how they're playing right now, if you sleep on them, they will beat you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Madison maybe slept on him a little bit in the beginning of that match, and they were able to turn it around and get a draw out of that. But um, there's no quit in this Fuego team. They do not want the wooden spoon for sure. So that'll be a super interesting match to see how NCFC comes out against Fuego.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
And then if you switch and check out Madison and Chattanooga, so you've got Madison sitting in fifth place and Chattanooga sitting in 11th place. Madison tends to play down to its competition. When they play the top of the table teams, they play really well. When they play the lower on the table teams, they tend not to play as focused and as sharp as they usually do. I feel like after the scare with Fuego, I really feel like Madison's going to have it dialed in for this match. But it is in Chattanooga, and Chattanooga has the fan support, and they are the cardiac Red Wolves. So, do they have a little bit more late late match drama for this one? Um, it's there's really not a bad match that we've had on so far. All of these are very interesting with a lot of crazy storylines that can be talked about inside of them.
And this is at the Den, and Ford Madison has never won a match at the Den.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm looking at the history right now. They have never won a match at the Den.
hmm. Well, we'll
They
see
have
if
drawn 4 times. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they've drawn 4 times in 6 visits, but they've never won at the Den.
yeah, that'll be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one to watch. I'm looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday, oh, I think this is probably the headliner. Northern Colorado hosting Charlotte Independence.
Yeah, we got your third and fourth place teams both sitting on 40 points. Um, the winner of this, if does the winner of this overtake Union Omaha? If either way, I don't
Let
I
me
don't remember who
look
has the
through.
season series between Charlotte and Omaha. I believe
It would
NoCo
all
takes it over.
it would all depend on goal differential.
So
So
if
right
no,
now, Northern
yeah,
Colorado has the goal differential, but Charlotte would have to win by 4 goals over Northern Colorado.
oof. So I mean, this sets up for a pretty crazy week. I know both of these teams are going to want to be looking for a chance to move up into second place. Granted, Northern Colorado sits in a little bit better of a position than Charlotte does, having a game in hand on Union Omaha as well, and 2 games in hand on Charlotte. Um, but this match is going to be really crazy to see because Northern Colorado we kind of is a known quantity. I feel like Charlotte has gone under the radar a little bit this season. I know we
Yep.
haven't talked about Charlotte a whole lot,
Yep.
but they're consistently doing well, but not doing it in a fashion that is flashy or really gives a whole lot to talk about. They just
Yeah.
are a very consistent and a very good team.
Yeah. And that's what's so scary about them. You have goal of the week contenders from Miguel Ibarra from time to time.
Hmm.
Um, you have these highlight reels from them, but at the same time, they're constantly flying under the radar, constantly providing results too. And
Hmm.
that's why they're in the third place position in the league. Um, or I'm sorry, they're currently in fourth. This is a team that you cannot sleep on. And I know that we've talked about the concerns surrounding their defense, but a lot of the upside with their offense counteracts a lot of the talk we've had about their defense. They are just a really a really good team.
Yeah. Yep. That's I agree that this is probably the marquee match of the weekend, and it's going to be a good weekend full of League One soccer. I know I'm going to have college football on the TV in the morning, and then uh, as soon as it's nighttime, I'm switching over and watching me some League One. So it should be a great weekend of sports in general. It already started off tonight with the 3-3 draw with Richmond and Fuego. Um, Obviously, me being a Husker fan, tomorrow Nebraska football starts their season, so Thursday's covered. Friday we got two League One matches. Saturday two League One matches, and then Sunday another really good League One match. So
Yep.
it's a great sports weekend. I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. There's going to be plenty of good matches this week, so make sure you are checking out all the League One action that we have coming our way. We will constantly be providing you those posts on social media, the polls, the updates on all the statistics and everything like that, and we'll be gearing you up for next week's show when we review all the action as well.
Mhm.
All right, you got anything else?
I got nothing. I think I've exhausted my rants and talking for a little for a little while about this. I mean, we're really gonna have to buckle in and get ready for these matches and kind of see where the playoff picture's starting to unfold now. So
Cool. All right. Well, I don't see any questions in the YouTube chat. So with that in mind, we are going to go ahead and head out. Thank you for everybody tuning in to watch and listen to the show. And we'll be back next week with another League One on the Rocks episode. I'm going to go nurse my hangover because, man, these drinks really got on top of me tonight.
all righty. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.